interesting is in the Forex market to be expected. We're going to take also a look at the economic calendar because we do have a FOMC meeting or Fed announcement, so something we have to be aware of. That's later today. First of all, though, the risk disclaimer explaining that trading for exchange, just like any global financial markets and products, are considered high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this webinar is for educational purposes only. Alrighty, thanks for your attention on that. Today we're going to take a look at trend lines, in fact, and we'll be specifically more geared towards that, but doesn't mean that we'll not be using fibs or moving averages or price action for that matter. We will be looking at trend lines, but within the 5 steps, as always, we want to know what the trend is. Then we'll be searching for opportunities in the sense of trend lines, for example. Today, checking filters, establishing triggers, and then deciding the entry. Alrighty. With that said, I'm going to pass it over to Michael. Good morning, and then we'll take a look at the charts.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody who decided to join us for this webinar session this morning. I'm very happy to see you all. My name is Michael Onochov, and I'm a client relationship manager for Admiral Markets. If you want to have a connection with me, you can always add me as a connection on LinkedIn, always find me on Skype to have a chat, or you can always write me an email with an inspiring story or with any questions with regards to Admiral Markets, trading, or anything else for this matter. Today is going to be a very interesting episode of Fun with Forex, and I decided to call it for a few dollars more because today is the mid of November. So a lot of people ask me and say, Michael, how much time is it going to take for me to become a billionaire, because I really want to do something special for my family this Christmas, and I only have 1.5 months left. What can I do? And I say that it's very simple. In order to become a billionaire, you have to start with a very, very simple thing, basic thing. You have to make a profit of $1 today. That sounds pretty plausible. It doesn't sound that hard. So once you make this profit of $1 today, all you have to do is you have to double it every day for the next 48 days or a little less till Christmas, and then you'll end up with only $140,737,488,355,328.00. And you can have a very special Christmas with that kind of funds, my friend. So go ahead, register at Admiral Standard today, make a profit of $1, and keep doubling it every day to become the first ever trillionaire who made his fortune on Forex. Thank you very much for listening to me. My name is Michael Onochov, and I will now pass the floor to Chris, who will tell you exactly how you go about making a profit of $1 and then doubling it every day. He will show it to you on practice. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Michael. That's setting a very high bar for today's session. That will be a tough one. Not easy to double your money, as I'm sure everyone is aware, but we'll do our best. Thank you for that. We're going to take a look at the Admiral Markets calendar. The first part shouldn't be all too difficult, the $1 pit, but maybe doubling it to 2 could be attainable as well, but doubling it every day, tricky. Let's see, we got, I'm looking at the wrong spot. Well, anyhow, if you want to register for more webinars, just go to admiralmarkets.com website, go to education, go to webinars, and well, click on any of these you want via the sign up button. You probably know how to do that, but just in case you're wondering, that's how you can register for more webinars. This Thursday, we're taking a look at Fibonacci for beginners, by the way. Back to the Forex calendar. We got a sizable agenda today with MPC meeting minutes on the pound. So we have to be careful of that. With the pound today, the usual ups and downs probably, quietness before and ups and downs after that event. We do have a sizable USD news as well. Core CPI retail sales, existing home sales, and then the FOMC meeting minutes. So not an easy day today. Well, what do we got today? We're looking at the euro dollar yesterday, and we're saying, you know, it is fighting against this resistance. Oh, forgive me. I need to open my drawing tool. 1 second. Yesterday we were actually fighting against resistance, weren't we? And I was warning for the fact that does not necessarily have to turn into a reversal. It could just be a pause, a lot of choppiness right against that resistance. What is that resistance? Just in case you were wondering, that resistance. Let me get rid of this. 1 second. Let me make a new. Let me get rid of this ATR. The resistance is this daily top right in here. That was causing a lot of volatility, as always, when approaching such a resistance or support. And so back to the 50-minute world, and you can see the downside. We had that move up, which we saw together, but the downside was very fast. We saw a bit of follow-through, but quickly, actually, support kicked in. As I said, watch out, because that support could still be in the market, and then even a spike above that resistance. Why did that spike happen? Because the currency was hanging right in front of resistance, and there was no downside pressure. It was kind of like a bull flag, and then it spiked above, and in the meantime, of course, that was the end of the Asian session. So all this movement is logical in a way, especially maybe after the lack of power here, this bounce up. In any case, it's very choppy. So if you didn't catch anything, no worries. I didn't either in this move. I was waiting for the dollar yen to break, as you know. But it makes sense. First of all, the choppiness here because of the resistance, the support in here, as we already warned for, and the break above happened eventually when this just went flat for maybe 2-3 hours, and there was no selling pressure there. So I hope that makes sense from the why the market does what it does. Okay, not that it's that important. I mean, you don't need to know exactly why price does everything at any time, but you can see in any case the volatility increase when you're getting to a resistance like that. But still, the short-term trend is the opposite of that resistance. You get a squeeze like that with lots of ups and downs. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Well, what do we got today? Same scenario, basically. I mean, nothing really changed. Back to the 4-hour chart, we can put a fib on this entire down move. Went to the 50 fib now. That could be still a turning spot, in fact. And the purple line could still be a support line. Nothing changed. Short-term upside, a lot of downside momentum, and downside squeeze with a lot of resistance. And the upside is very choppy as well. Nothing changed. It's still the same setup. So what we have today, if we go back to the 1-hour chart, let me take a look at the daily chart quickly. It is a bullish candle. And it's a pretty sturdy bullish candle. So any move up, down, sorry, could still find support. And yesterday's low could be the confirmation level. I mean, if we break yesterday's low, that probably would indicate a downside break. If we stay above yesterday's low, any down move could still find support for a continuation up. Why not? If we look now back to the 1-hour chart. Oh. Back to the 1-hour chart. What do we see here? An uptrend. Although it's very choppy and corrective, it is an uptrend. And this dip could find, again, a bounce off the trend line like it did here. So that's the playing field we have today. Back to the 15. Here too, the long-term moving average on the 15 provided a bouncing area as it did there, as it did here. Maybe it will do here as well. Why not? If it breaks that trend line and if it breaks this support, you know, we could start thinking about bearishness. So regarding trend lines, our trend line is the main focus of today's session. Obviously, this is a great trend line. It's more of a trend channel line, in fact, though, than a single trend line. This is actually something like that, in a way, maybe something like a trend channel, right? So something like that. Otherwise, don't really see any trend lines. We could put a trend line like this maybe, but it's quite steep, and it's connecting only a few 15-minute tops. There was maybe a trend line this morning like that. That's been broken, so it's not really that relevant anymore. Could have been seen as a smaller trend channel. This upside could have been seen as a 50-minute trend channel. That's broken and moving down. So that's all behind us. But just to indicate how you could use trend lines in general. All right. It's not relevant now anymore that much, but recently the price was maybe in a small option channel in this 50-minute world. That's all. And you got these channels. You got here. You have a good 5-minute channel. You got these channels basically, which you can use with trend lines really on all time frames almost. Okay, sometimes they're not as nice as moving averages. I mean, moving averages will always, of course, have a certain information. Not always are trend lines useful in the sense that not always do you have a channel or a trend line that has multiple touches. Sometimes it's just not there on the chart. That happens. Alrighty. So let's see if we get a bounce. We can even go to the 5-minute world. We could even put a fib maybe on this entire upside on yesterday's daily candle. And we're right at the 50 fib. This is the 1-minute chart. Let me put Bollinger Bands on this for the fun of it. That was a big spike yesterday. This was This was a typical spike. Look at that. Why? Because it's so fast. It's really basically 2 minutes of upside. That's it. And the rest was just flat. So that's typical for a spike. Sorry about that. Let's see. I was looking for a specific strategy that I explained in the scalping webinar. It's recorded, by the way, so if you want to take a look, where the Bollinger Band really gets quiet and then looking for the first kind of break out of that, but don't see it at the moment here. I was just curious. Anyhow, back to higher time frames. So let's see if we maybe a break above this trend line could be something. I don't know. Rather have it a bit deeper, in fact, and see a bounce here. That's my preference. Let's go to something else, I guess. If you have anything in mind or any preference for a certain currency, just let me know, and we can take a look at that. Otherwise, I'll just go one by one. I do find the pound odd interesting at the moment, so we can maybe take a look at that first of all, and you can take a look at the dollar yen because we were talking about those currency pairs specifically yesterday, I remember. So, but if you have anything, of course, just let me know if you have any questions or so. we can do that too. Good. Pound odd. Pound odd from the 1 hour perspective. Had a great uptrend channel like this. Let me change the color a bit. Very, very nicely built. But per currency price broke out of that uptrend channel, right? Very nice uptrend channel. Broke out of it, hooked back to it, and fell. So yesterday we were looking, in fact, at the 50-minute chart, I remember, and saying, you know, this could still inch forward a few pips. That was right in here, I believe. Let me double check that, though. Yeah, that was right in here. This could still inch forward a few pips, but then it probably will make a correction. That's exactly what happened, in fact. Not sure if anyone was brave enough to buy it here, but it did fall just a few pips, and I went up a lot, in fact, to retrace that downside. Now, personally, I'm still expecting this upside as a retracement, and this anywhere in here I think could still turn, because if you look at this trend line, that could easily be a bouncing spot. This upside could be an up move only to retrace this top and retest this top, and you know, the chances that it will just break in one go above that top without at least a bit of a hook back are not that high, I would say. Usually we do get a bit of respect for a top like that, and after this pause we could see it then break up to the upside, or it could be a bigger reversal and we move down entirely. So I do think that we're moving up into a resistance area. Price action is not giving up. Let me say it this way: it's still pushing up, still pushing. But I'm looking for signals that this could be kind of like dying out. This could be losing energy, losing momentum, and might be turning around. Why is that so? So what? Let me show you why I'm thinking about that. This is making lower lows, lower highs. So it is still a downtrend on the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart. So this is an opportunity because it's a retracement. It's a potential pullback. So we have a trend. We have a pullback. So the next step is to take a look if there are any filters going on. Well, not really any filters, I would say. The reason why I'm a bit cautious in this area, it's still a very young downtrend and not established at all. So that's one thing to be a bit more cautious. Plus, this almost looks like it's not an established downtrend channel. You can see that this was a very established channel. The downside is not as yet. Let's go to the 4 hour chart. One second. Okay, let me move the fib. And you can see that we're pretty close to the 786, in fact. We just touched it. 786 fib, 78.6% Fibonacci retracement is, of course, a major level on any currency. So that could definitely be resistance. Up to the 4 hour chart, you can see the channel. And you can see that not only are we going up to the 786 fib of this last down move, but you can see that we've had a pretty big down move here. And if you put a fib on that one, you can see that the currency spiked right in between the 786 and 886, and it could be retesting this top. Therefore, this upside could have been a retrace of this downside, maybe. And this could be the first hook back for more downside. Then, of course, I'm still cautious in saying that this is a total reversal. This could still be a retracement for more upside. So we'll have to keep a look on that purple line. If the purple line breaks, it could also be a breakout continuation. Very simple, right? This is how you can analyze the charts and make a roadmap. Breakout, bounce to the downside. So we are at a break or bounce spot at the 786 fib of the 786 fib. Simple daily chart. Tremendous uptrend, 3,000 pips. But we've had weakness here. We couldn't continue, made a correction to the downside. Now as this move up, as I said, is that a correction for more downside? Something like this. Take a look at this. That could be. It definitely could move down back to the green support, and then we can see a bounce up back to 190. So we can have a 1,000 pip down move followed by a 3,000 pip up move. It's possible. There's also a Gartley pattern in play, in fact. This is a potential deep crab pattern, I think it was, in fact. So that's in play as well still. If this is a down move, we can, in case this is the main focus is trend lines, we do have a trend line like that. And let me change that to a different color here, dark red. You see that is a resistance line. So we move back to the resistance line. If we respect that trend line, we can move down. The target would be this level in here. Why is that so? If you put a fib on the very first correction, you can see there's a minus 618 down in here and a minus 1,000 down in here. Those are the targets. You can see that we stopped at the minus 272. If you then put a new fib from the next swing high, swing low, you can see we're at the 786 and those targets line up. Let me show you. Approximately in any case. Sorry, I have to actually, yeah. You got the minus 618, minus 272 together, the minus 1,000 and the minus 618. And if you then put a fib on this entire upside, you got a 382 right in here, together with these targets. That's why I think we could see a downside, bounce off this level, then see one more downside, then bounce off this level, and then probably see upside continuation like that. So this is the path of least resistance in my opinion. Downside to the minus 618, 272 target, bounce, then down, then a bigger bounce up and a break to the upside up to 190. Why 190? Because if we then zoom out and look at the minus 272, that's at 183, and the 193 is at minus 618. Voila. So that's how you can use fibs and trend lines and moving averages to distinguish the path. Now, if we do break above this red line, obviously the downside is probably not materializing, and all the correction that it did was this. And this is actually an uptrend that will be breaking to the upside. But I wouldn't go long in here, right in front of that resistance. Going long somewhere in here, lower, made sense, potentially. I mean, not maybe right at the bottom. I wouldn't say that. Possibly it's early, though. Here we had, of course, a bit more confirmation. Here, right here, is right in front of resistance. That doesn't make sense. Wait for the breakout and or hook back before taking that long. Okay? So, that was a whole mouthful, but I hope that makes sense. So that's what I'm looking for. That's the bigger perspective. Back to the short-term perspective, though. But you get the context, and we're right at the 786 fib. So I'm kind of curious if we're going to get a reaction or not. Is this indeed going to be respected? Fortunately, we do have the MPC meeting minutes, so there's no rush to jump in at all, actually, before that, or maybe not wise to jump in at all. Let's see what the MPC meeting minutes are, because really that news event could spike this up, and it could blast through this 886 and blast through the top, in all honesty. So, but all we can do is prepare our plan to our best of possibilities, and if the fundamentals fit in the technicals, then after these fundamentals way away, we can try to take a position. So back to the 1 hour chart, back to our trend lines. For me, it's simple. Depending, of course, on the fundamental, if it pushes through and hooks back, and we get a bull flag after the break, I'll go long. Upon the next break, if this the meeting window sent us down, I'll take the next short after we break the fractal. That's my plan. We are at a bouncer break spot, so that's great. So that's my roadmap at the moment. Alrighty, so I'm going to take that these drawings off, and then I'm going to take a look at the dollar yen. Tarek is asking about it. We haven't looked at it yet. Dollar yen, I was talking about the break that I wanted to catch yesterday, and I did take it. Let me take a look. This is the 1 hour chart. So I had this trend line on, and I took the break right in here. Didn't go kind of as far as I was hoping it would, in fact. So which is a pity. And it actually made a pretty strong fall right in here. Let's see. Back to the 15-minute world. We're talking, let me take a look at, let me get rid of that fib. It's a bit clustering the chart. $50-minute world. Let me see where were we looking at it yesterday? Yes. Around here. Yes, so later on we got the break. I took that break right in here. And you see we got a break, pull back, continue. Could have even had a very tight stop here. And that would have been a decent run, in fact. I used a wider stop in this case and still in it. And I was hoping it would go a bit higher. It didn't, which was a bit unpleasant because I would have liked to see it push a bit higher, a bit more impulsively. Anyhow, this is still looking corrective to me, so that's good. And in fact, I wouldn't mind to take a breakout trade again right here with a stop loss here, in fact, for a second scale-in. It's moving up pretty fast, in fact. Yeah, we'll do that, Tarek. Let me set up a pending order here first. I'm just establishing if I like the trade or not. We got multiple trend lines here in play. Let's see. The angle is pretty flat of the moving averages. This one too, if we zoom in to the, oh, this is the daily chart. Wait, I lost my dollar yen. Here it is. Sorry. Yeah, moving average is pretty flat. So that's one of the, yeah, it's not that confirmed as yet. This pull was very minor, in fact, and we already made a move back to the moving averages with a very minor break. I'm not sure if that scaling is maybe not the right time yet. because I do want to have a bit of an angle on this moving average. You see, when the moving averages have an angle, that's when you have the best trades. And this really didn't get much angle, and that's gone. It's flat now. So I'm not sure if it's time to scale in this yet. So yeah, I'll wait. I'll wait, maybe even move my stop loss of this breakout trade to this new low here. It is a pretty good reversal bounce off. If we start to break actually one more time here, we could be breaking this trend line, and we could be breaking the triangle to the downside. So from this perspective, we have a top line like this, we have a bottom line like that, and we took the breakout yesterday, or I took the breakout yesterday in here. I don't want to necessarily live through this. I don't know exactly how this can fall. Maybe from a contrarian point of view, maybe this is just a 5-wave down or something like that. Who knows? This is a correction, and we make one more correction down. You never know. You gotta be on guard and flexible in this manner, but not too flexible that you're changing, of course, your plan every second or every minute. But you know, we've lived through a breakout trade substantially here. So a major resistance, also a major resistance, Tarek, is this. We have to be aware of the fact that this is at 100.60, and that is a major level. Just like 101.60 is a major level. 101.50, 101.54, something like that, 101.55. And then, of course, after that, the 103.70. Those are major tops. We were right in front of that top, so, and we haven't broken this top yet, and we didn't break it yesterday, nor did we break it during today, which is signaling kind of hesitation to go to that level, in my opinion. Back to the 4-hour chart. With that in mind, and that resistance so close by, you know, we have to be a bit careful maybe. Now, obviously, this 4-hour chart is showing a nice uptrend. You can see a good angle here, retracement, but this is just an uptrend still. Price is above the moving averages, and every time it moves back to the long-term moving average, it's actually a good retrace. That's what we had yesterday too, and that's why we liked that breakout trade after we made the retrace and started to move up. Right in here. Back to the 1-hour chart. Moving very fast, in fact. Which is good. I'm not too sure if that's a scaling I want to do, though. Probably rather even wait for a break of this trend line, wait for the next hook back, and then the next break would make more sense. Let's see also how this hourly closes. At the moment, we have engulfing twins, but of course this candle hasn't closed yet. So let's wait for a break of this triangle. I think that makes sense. Before we get too ambitious, don't forget that this has lots of space to the upside if it does start to move up, so there's no rush. This is just the first position or second or third, depending on how many times you already entered in before, because we've spoken about breakout trades here and bounce trades before on this upside. It hasn't moved that much, in fact, as yet. It still has a lot of space to go, but we've got to be careful. We need that confirmation as well before we scaling in too much in general. So I got to be careful with that. So let's see. I would still wait. But probably moving, the stop loss to here of that breakout trade makes sense, I think. There's no need to risk anymore on that. So support levels, I think that this is a major support level. If we break through 99, then I don't know. This is not as bullish as I thought it is, to be honest. And this is a minor level. I wouldn't say it's a key level, but it is a minor level. But it will become major if we break above this trend line and break above this top. Then the next major support will be this. But until now it was here, and any downside was supposed to bounce above this level. Otherwise the bullish scenario was really invalidated. And we did. We bounced off the 618. If you put a fib off this on this move, we bounced off the 618. Euro moving down, pound, a lot of spikes. Very, 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 very choppy. And that's why I personally didn't take this break. I was looking at this break, but I didn't like it because I had doubts it would go really far, and indeed just 15 pips and just chopping around. And pound, of course, not interesting with that news event. Anyhow, it's a very choppy price action. So back to the end, just the last comment, as I said, the only thing really that makes sense, if we get a push here and we get a bull flag, and then the next break that could be a scaling. Otherwise, I would be still waiting, I think. Okay. What else? Aussie. Oh wow, Aussie's pushing. I was waiting for this breakout trade. Potentially. Let's see. Yeah, it is a potential breakout. I mean, to the downside, but it's not, in my opinion, not the easiest break to take. Why is that? Well, it already fell 70 pips to the downside, and it could keep falling, but obviously we're exposed to more risk than if the currency bounces up here and then breaks, which would be pleasant. Because then you know that there's a certain retracement has been behind us, and the breakout trade surely has more momentum to go. So, well, let's see. I do like the potential of this breakout, definitely. So I would like to catch this trade. And yesterday's wick, remember yesterday we were looking at the odd USD yesterday, and we said, well, you know, this was actually moving up as we had this big spike, but that turned into a wick, and we said, be careful, don't buy in here. There's divergence. At least you need a retracement on the 50-minute chart. So let's go to the 15. This went back to the zero line. We got a bull flag. We did get a push up. So if you had patience for at least waiting to retrace it somewhere in here, you got that move. But then if you look at the 1 hour chart, you saw the big wick, and price wasn't able to break it, got double top, and now moving down. And if we break that trend line, it could be a pretty decent fall. So it is definitely interesting. Alrighty. But yeah, looking at the 4-hour chart, I have some reservations. Let me say, I was just thinking, we got double top here. We were saying that if it moves up, that this could be a resistance zone. It didn't even get that far. We just made it to the long-term moving averages. That's it. Yeah, I would say let's take a look. If you know, if we break this bottom, it could be really a breakout trade. We could even put a stop loss maybe just above this band here. But I'm really not that big of a fan of it, unfortunately. I would really like to catch it somehow. Let's see if we can break this bottom at all first. If we can't, then we'll get that retracement, which would be great, in fact. So let's keep an eye on this. But I think it makes sense to be a bit more patient. Hopefully we get that retracement. Not sure if it will happen though, to be honest, but let's see. What else? Kiwi. We were talking about the daily chart yesterday and saying, wow, this is a very bearish candle. This upside could be a retracement. That looks like it's happening though. And we are moving down. And if we put a trend line like this, it looks like that one already broke out, in fact. That's already breaking. Pound yen. Pound yen seems to be continuing nicely to the upside. Yesterday I had a break too. I'm not sure if anyone took that. I was focusing on the dollar yen, but I did see this breakout too. And in fact, we broke out, and it looked like we have already a pullback to the 50 fib and a bounce off that 50 fib. Moving nicely to the upside. But this has the pound, of course, in it, so we have to be careful with that. The news announcement, of course, will influence this pound yen almost probably just as much as the pound dollar, so be careful of that. But that was a good breakout trade yesterday with this trend line break. Let's see, back to the pound odd. Is it showing us anything? Let's take a look. 50-minute world, nothing yet. Still bullish price action. Let's see at the top of the hour if this has any wick on this 1-hour candle. Otherwise, I would be interested in trying to find that short. As you know, the euro odd, let's take a look at that. This is the wrong one. Let me get the right euro odd chart. Here it is. This, in fact, has almost invalidated the whole idea of shorting because we got double top. I was looking for, trying to think that and analyze that this could maybe turn earlier, just like the pound odd, but it's actually went all the way to double top. So this is a bit different than I was actually counting on, but that's why it's good to wait for confirmation of price because I lost nothing. I had a certain plan in mind. It didn't do what I was planning, and because it didn't give me that confirmation, no harm done, right? That's good. So the euro odd is definitely looking a bit different. I mean, I thought that this could be, as I said, a hook back from more downside. In fact, this is a pretty strong upside, and it's pushing this top. Let's see if it can break the top. If it does, you might wonder if this is a breakout trade to the upside, but then again, we have to be careful because there's a resistance line right in there. This is looking like a bull flag, in fact, after an impulse, but the bull flag is right at this resistance. So now I'm personally neutral on the euro odd at the moment. Want to wait for a bit more confirmation. Nothing is lining up here. The downside could still be interesting, but we need to prove double top. We don't have that yet. I would say at least a 4-hour fractal here. Because if you look at the 4-hour chart, this 4-hour chart is still pushing. Take a look. Still have higher highs and higher lows on this 4-hour world. And this is the next candle. So I'm now at the moment neutral. So any other particular currency you want to take a look at? I don't have anything in mind besides these. Maybe we can take a look at the dollar CAD or something like that. Here in New Zealand, pound New Zealand still. Or if you have a preference, let me know. Tarek is asking if I do analysis on the dollar yen every day on video. No. Only, of course, when we have these live sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But other than that, I have edit wave analysis that you can find on the Admiral Markets website by going to the admiralmarkets.com analytics, go to wave analysis, and you will see the dollar yen at the very bottom. Same time on Thursday, yes, indeed. Same time Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Or the wave analysis that shows the dollar yen 4-hour and 1-hour chart. That's every day. If you want to register for those, Tarek, by the way, you can do that by going to education and then going to webinars. And then you would see that tomorrow we're looking at wave and fib trading. The sessions always have kind of a emphasis on a certain topic. Doesn't necessarily mean that we'll ignore all other tools or all other strategies, of course, but that it would gain a special attention, let me say it this way. So the week after, on Tuesday, for example, we would be looking at moving averages. No, sorry. Intraday trading. Alrighty. No preferences so far. Maybe we could take a quick look at gold in that case. Gold is really going nowhere. It can't break the green line, can't break the purple line, still stuck in that triangle. Nothing new, in fact, with that. Pound New Zealand. A lot of choppiness the last few days. Just look at this. No direction. No trend at all. And prior to that too, look at this big choppiness. Up, down, up. Really wacky. Look at this 1-hour chart. Not interested, in my opinion. Either let it break one of these purple lines and then we can regain our interest. In the meantime, I'm not interested in this one. Unless maybe we hit this top and we get a reversal / range trade back to the bottom. It's the only thing I see, or the opposite, from the bottom to the top. We're right here in the middle, and that's for sure. So that's an easy analysis. Here in New Zealand, well, yeah, we were talking about this, that this could be continuation downside, but we're also bouncing off a level like this. Not that clear. I mean, in all honesty, this looks like a clear momentum. Sorry, this looks like a clear momentum. This looks like a correction. This could be a continuation, but the problem is that we could still do this before we fall, for example. And this could just be an upside, correction, upside, and then still find that resistance. So here too, we're kind of in the middle of the playing field, in fact. Either move back to the top of this trend line, or probably would need to break out of this this trend line for that downside. Maybe there could be a smaller time frame trade to the upside here. Sorry. Like that. Could be. Looks like a break, hook back. Could be a continuation. The 1 hour band is pointed to the upside. Back to the 50-minute chart. Yeah, could be a breakout coming. I mean, I would wait. Let's see. Well, we're right in front of that red line. Let me say it this way. So probably best is to wait for either a pullback still, if we get it, or just wait for the break of the red line and wait for the next pullback. Could be. I mean, it's not probably the best setup ever, but could be some upside pressure before we see that downside. We have to be, of course, aware of this top logically at 164. There could be some space here, as you can see, to the upside there, potentially. Well, we're going to take a look at others. Maybe we can take a look at certain CAD crosses as well. But just give me 1 minute break. I'll be right back, okay? Don't go away. Just maybe grab some coffee if you want. I'll be back in a second. Alrighty, folks, I'm back. Thanks for your patience there. Hope you got that coffee just like me. And we're going to continue with, oh yeah, we said the CAD, right? Let's take a look. And the dollar Swiss we can still take a look at. We can take a look at, well, maybe even the dollar index first of all. Still making that bull flag, or I don't know, whatever correction it is, and still above this 80.40. 80.40, of course, key. If we break that support, we could see a fall back to the support here. Then we'll have to see. If we break, of course, this green line, we might continue with some dollar strength. It's quite choppy on the dollar, to be honest, as you can see. Yeah, dollar Swissy, same scenario. Dollar Swissy 2, well, it actually pushed through the 90.90, but it's back above there, so let's see. Very choppy. Dollar CAD 2, very choppy. Motto of today is choppy price movement, that's for sure. I have to admit, it is a very choppy environment. Can't deny that. Pound CAD is getting some break to the upside after this break. That happened yesterday evening. That was a good break too. Probably a better break than the pound dollar, in fact. but we're very close to resistance right now. So that was a good breakout trade. At the moment, we don't have a breakout trade, as you can see. Well, we can maybe look to the 50-minute chart. We don't have it on the 1-hour chart. Let me say it that way. That's clear. But maybe we have the 15. 15 we do. You can see 15 world has a trend line like that. That happened already as well. So we've had our breakouts already to the upside here. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this, what can you do? When you have a breakout here and a breakout here already, if you're not in those trades, if you're in those trades, you know, you're just hanging in for more profit and trail stopping it probably, or aiming for some TP. At the moment, you can see it's in the middle of nowhere. So it really doesn't make sense to trade. Let's take a look at something else. Add odd-CAD. This trend line could be a good break, or this one could be a good break. Both could have a good breakout trade with these trend lines. Let's take a look if there's something closer. 1-hour chart, no trend line. This is just up and down so far. 50-minute world, not really. This is just up and down. Even a trend line like this, of course, is very, very steep. It's too steep to trade, so that doesn't make sense. It's really those two trend lines that are the only relevant trend lines on the chart, on this chart. How about this odd cat? Same scenario here too. We have a trend line like that. In fact, and a trend line like that. Same scenario. Odd New Zealand doesn't give anything. Yeah, we were talking about the odd New Zealand yesterday. I remember. I was saying that this upside could be a retracement for more downside. Remember? And we're back at the long-term moving averages, and I said that the first 15-minute fractal break could be a good sell, which was right in here. With a stop loss, obviously, above the top, or as a tight stop loss, even above the next 15-minute fractal, which is tight, though. Now, that trade, you shouldn't, if you took that trade, you should be at least at minimum at break even. Don't risk anything on that. That doesn't make sense anymore because we already had the downside continuation, and in fact, if you didn't take profit, which you could have done in theory, because depending on exactly where your stop loss was, the tighter or looser one, the looser one was about, well, yeah. Well, it's a very tight stop spread, tight spread here on this one. So 80, 85 probably, it was probably 23 pipper, so it went down to, yeah, it was about a 2-to-1 here. Almost, yeah, 2-to-1 / almost 2-to-1. But if you're aiming for the bigger move down, which makes sense to me, then you're still in a trade, but I would move it to break even because this is kind of looking pretty choppy and corrective, this downside. As I said yesterday too, if it's moving down correctively, watch out because then it could be actually a flag for more upside. And it is moving down pretty correctively. This was a pretty fast move. This is a relatively slower, I think, so it could pop up. That's why you don't want to risk that sell. You know, that was a good spot to take it. It was right at the top, right at the reversal as well. Optimal entry regarding reversal / timing doesn't mean, though, that if you're still in it, that you want to be in risk. If you're in that trade, you definitely want to be out of risk because it could still pop up, and it doesn't make sense to keep that trade and risk on. Actually, you can move yourself into the luxury position of moving into break even and still being above this top, probably. And if this is a hook back for more downside, you get those additional pips. And you could aim for anything around here, and that would be like probably a 3-to-1 Or if you even want to be more ambitious and wait for the next break of this bottom and wait for the target, of course, then the R2Rs are multiplying, but then we have to break through the next support, and we never know if that's necessarily going to happen. That was the AUD New Zealand. At the moment, is there anything to trade? Well, we have this trend line. Could even be a scale in upon the break of this trend line. I don't know about the break that is upside. I would still be a bit careful with that personally. The upside break, I wouldn't take the break. If anything, maybe somehow a pullback or the continuation, but those are not easy trades because it is still counter trend in my opinion. This break is a bit easier. Here too, though, you don't have to take the break. We can always take the pullback continuation as well. So that's the AUD New Zealand basically in a nutshell. From the bigger perspective, for those of you who are interested, this is still in a range, in fact, and we're quite close to the daily bottom. So that's why it does have the potential maybe to pop up higher. Although we can see that this is in the bigger scheme in the downtrend. So that's the big analysis, big time frame analysis. Or if you want to go really big, weekly chart. Is this down, pause for more down, back to this bottom? That's possible too. Or will we see a bigger correction back to these resistances? So, well, that's my view. But I should mention that if you ever wanted to share a chart and wanted to share your view, by all means, I definitely encourage you to do that. Okay, you'll get my feedback on your chart. And, you know, in honesty, I think it would be a good method, for learning. You could show how you do your technical analysis and how you can do that. You could, well, I don't think Admiral Markets has that, but you would have to use some screenshot program. XD, don't know, that could be one. Never heard of it. You'd have to use indeed some screenshot, and then well, you can set. There's screencast, for example. I have no benefit from telling you this, but you can use screencast, for example, and you can send a link that we can view. And then when you send that link, I could open it, and then I can show it to everyone what you have actually made through screencast. Or you can send your screenshot to my email as well. That's possible. Okay, and I'll send you my email. Okay, so those are, if you like, that's always possible to share your view that way. Well, probably, in fact, screencast is a bit easier, to be honest. But I would say take a look, because it's really you can make a screenshot and then send a link to anyone. So it is, I think, a bit easier, but it's up to you, of course. I'm available through both ways. And you can share or get the feedback and share the views with each other. Yeah, definitely, Tarek. Certainly. Would love to see it. I think Rich actually sending one. That's great. Setting the tone and setting the example here. Great stuff. Tarek and Rich, both of you. I just trying to grab the link that Rich is actually. Got it. Had troubles there grabbing it. Let's take a look. We're just seeing this downside as retracement. Yeah, it's possible. Definitely. I mean, it has that potential for to be a retracement. Key bottom definitely is this in both our analysis, because once that breaks, then we have the full confirmation. And yeah, the break of a trend line like this is just a first break. It's an early indication. So this is kind of like a neutral area. Anything above is still bullish, and anything below the red line is bearish. That's how I would do it personally. What time frame is this? I'd use the 4-hour. Let's take a look again at that 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at the moving averages. You can see the long-term moving averages indicating the resistance, but now the band could be support. And we would need a break below here to have a full confirmation, but we did break this support already. And trend line break would be a second confirmation, and the full confirmation would be this. And it really depends. If we bounce maybe still at the very bottom of this trend line, yes, we could see this uptrend continue indeed. In that case, if we do get a bounce, this would be the third hit. It would be a confirmation of this trend channel effect. Now we could see one more push up to that red line, probably respect for that, and we'll see if this uptrend channel continues. If it does push above 95.40, we could have space up to this top and then up to 99.20, which is the 618 fib. So there could be some space here to the upside upon the break here, like that. That would be the bullish scenario indeed. If we break, however, the 93.50 and the trend line, then we'll probably have space to this bottom at least, and if we break that bottom, we could be breaking all the way back to this bottom. If we break that, all the way to 85. That's the bearish scenario. That was an Aussie USD 4-hour chart. So we are at a bounce or break spot, that's for sure, with these scenarios. And I mean, both sides are. I don't mind. Both trades make sense to me. I wouldn't mind to trade it both ways, as long as the currency moves nicely and smoothly, and has a trend. Let me say it this way: that's what I want. So yeah, interesting spot, that's for sure. The downside scenario, of course, then will be that this is uptrend, the downtrend. This is a correction, and we're starting the downtrend here again. Whereas the uptrend would be downside, correction, then probably downside, maybe. Let's see. So back to the 4 and 1. And we can see that we're back at the long-term moving average. In that regard, it could even be worth a buy indeed. A buy here with a stop loss here as a bounce straight off this trend line. See how far it goes. If it moves choppy like this, then be very careful. Get out of that buy. Look for the trend line break, and if it does break the trend line, it could be a short, as we were already discussing earlier, right? Because then this is a bear flag, and we'd not only be breaking a bear flag, but also this red, dark red trend line. If, however, this is a bounce, and we do get a bit more of an impulse like that, then it could make the upside. So it depends how price action will respond at this level. Is it going to move fast? Is it going to move choppy? That will give some indication whether this is going to be indeed the upside continuation or bear flag. So thanks for that, Rich. Did the interesting screenshot, and it maybe, yeah, it helped with the realization that this could actually be a bounce instead of maybe a break. As I said, I didn't like the break because it felt already a lot, so I would like to see a correction before taking the next break, in fact. But it could be that that bear flag doesn't materialize because this could be a bouncing spot, indeed. True. So let's see. We'll see tomorrow. We'll be having a session tomorrow again, so we'll see how the odd USD behaved. In any case, stop loss is very short here, so I'll give it a try, but be careful with you know, how the price reacts to that. If we get a slam down and up and down, like I was talking about earlier today, then that's exactly the bear flag, in fact, and maybe a continuation for downside. I think I'll trail stop this. I'll use a trail stop on the 50-minute world. Maybe 5 pips behind the behind this 50-minute fractal. And the reason for that is that if it really moves up a lot, then that's good. But if it just moves choppy, then I'll probably get out for break even. So I'll have to see how this moves up first. If it does move up fast, and then let's see, depending on how this peg moves up, I might fib it and then put a TP on the next break of this high. So I'm still waiting with the TP, basically, is the short answer. It's a combination of trail stop, and once we do have a clear swing high, swing low, either I get taken out by that trail stop, or if I survive by any chance, then I would probably aim for the TP above the next top break, if it does make this upside move. If it moves choppy, as I said, then I would be relatively quick to not to risk anymore in this trade. So trail stop is the answer, I guess, and a potential TP yeah, the TP really depends then. As I said, I'll be flexible. It will depend on how far this really goes in one shot, and then I'll put a fib from here to here. But yeah, I think that a conservative target would be anywhere around before 95, probably 94.90. I think. What do you think, Rich? 94.90 would be about 100 pipper, which, if it gets to 100 pips, I guess never could hurt. So maybe it makes sense to put 94.90 already there. I mean, if it gets that high, who wouldn't want to walk away with 100 pips versus I had 18 risk. It's just less than 100 pips, in fact, 94 versus 18. That would be 5. Yep, Definitely, Yano is saying there are several high-impact news events coming. Definitely. Want to be careful of that. That's why you want to be cautious. Just in case you missed the beginning, anyone, we have actually FOMC later today and a lot of the USD news, so just in case you missed that, be careful of that. I probably took it a pip, 1 or 2 pips higher than normally I would, because it would normally be a break above this 50-minute fractal. That's how I treat breakout bounce trades. Right? I wouldn't take the bounce off the trend line, but I would wait for the first break after the bounce. Right? That's how I treat bounce trades, but if I like the bounce at least. If, of course, the technical analysis makes sense. Let's see, we could still see a small retrace of this 50-minute candle before going up. It's possible, but this 15-minute chart is my trigger chart, so don't necessarily have to wait for a pullback here because it is a trigger chart. How about you, Rich? What's your TP, in fact? Do you have one as well, or you're trail stopping it? This is the euro pound is moving up prior to the news. Getting close, though. Euro pound moving down. Very choppy. New Zealand moving down. What's happening with this? No, the yen. I want to know what's happening with the yen. Wow, it's good we stay out of that break. As I said, this break, there's a bigger trend line here as well. Oof. I'm happy we didn't. That was horrible. Look at that 1 hour chart. It looks so bullish. I said let's wait for the 1 hour to close. No wonder that was a good idea, because that doesn't look too inspiring anymore. Still stuck in that triangle. So definitely move your risk here. I mean, that's bearish. First of all, we broke this low. This could be a newer low. Second of all, this is a pretty bearish signal. Third of all, this is a triangle. This breakout trade, it was a good idea. It just didn't go anywhere, and now is potentially failing. And if it breaks this bottom, who knows what it's doing. Do I want to sell it? Not really personally, but I don't want to be in a buy anymore. So. Ah, great. Rich has a new screenshot. Let's take a look at that. Odd USD 10-minute charts. Are you looking this as resistance? Yeah, it's possible. It definitely will act as resistance. I wouldn't doubt about that, indeed. But the question is it just a small pause for more upside, or will it indeed be kind of a resistance reversal area? You could have a TP there, but then the R2R is quite limited. Then personally, I'd rather trail stop it. If it does reverse in here, in this zone, if it does reverse there, then I'm okay with getting out for 0 or plus 10 pips and just trail stopping it. Let me say it this way. Because if it does reverse there, then I'll probably gain more pips on the downside. However, if this does break to the upside, then I want to catch more of those pips. So personally, I wouldn't have a TP here. Either higher, in my opinion, to get a good R2R, or if it fails there at this red zone as you have it here, then I just gladly trail stop it and get out for a small few pips. Personally, but that's there's no right or wrong here. In fact, it's just personal preference. Yeah, I'm sure there's a fib. I'm sure there's a fib. no doubt about it, and it will definitely respect that level. The question is, when we move up, how we move up, and also when we move down, if we find support, this will become probably resistance, but then we'll probably find support in here, and then the question is, which side is going to win? Are we going to continue with that uptrend, or is it going to indeed break down? By using a trail stop, my thinking is that if it breaks down, I get out for 0. If it continues up, I'm still in. That was why. A pause at that 382.50 is, though, indeed quite probable, but how will the currency respond? Maybe it just makes maybe it's just one higher high, and then makes a higher low, and then the next higher high, and it continues up. So that's why basically I'm trying to aim for, with the TP, and I'm aiming for a higher resistance and trail stopping it along the way. That's why I do that basically. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I mean, if you would be aiming for that 50 fib, it of course is you get your profit faster, and you could take another trade if you wanted to. So that's your advantage if you are aiming for that. I'm not sure. Let's see. But that's will be interesting to take a look at tomorrow. Let's see how this continues. For me, also very important how it moves up. At the moment, it looks pretty impulsive. Let me say it this way. Let's see how much. If it really moves up like this to the 50, I would be happy personally, because that's a pretty impulsive move. If it gets rejected right now, it moves down again like that, and then up, and then down again like that. Well, as I said, and then really not really moving as I would want it to. As from a long perspective, then we'll probably want to get out. And if it breaks, it could be a good short when it breaks. So, well, we've discussed that already. I don't want to get too repetitive. Oh, Rich has 94.40. Okay, cool, 94.40. That's basically this top. Gotcha. Hey, Darshan. Good to see you. Let's take a look at pound yen. Well, we're in relatively new territory, of course. 4.5 years ago was the last time we were above 160, I believe, in March 2009, so that is a while ago. And while we had a breakout level, let me go to that daily chart. Of course, this 160 exactly, couldn't break that level, stopped there twice, 3 times, 4 times, maybe even pushed above it. Obviously, the 160 level would have been a great retest, but yeah, sometimes these retest levels are too nice, and the market didn't even get that low. And it looks like we got a break yesterday. I took the dollar yen break instead of the pound yen break personally yesterday in New York. Pound yen break did do a bit better, but still not breaking this top. So if we go back to the 4-hour chart, maybe even the daily, yeah, it's right at this top. So that's never an easy thing, and any resistance like that, especially if you have a retest level lingering in the back that the market might want to tag before it really moves up. Just some thoughts that come across on my mind. This is a pretty bearish price action signal as well, from a price action point of view. Could this be a correction like that? Or is it a breakout, hook back, and continue? I don't think anyone knows, in fact, to be honest. So we have to take a look at something else that maybe makes sense. Let me take a look at the moving averages. Flat, slightly up, not much though. 1 hour, big doji. Pound news event very close. Oof. Difficult. I mean, if someone took this breakout trade, I'll probably move the stop loss. I would move the stop loss to below this bottom. And just reduce the risk to zero. If it does break, great. If it doesn't, it's probably going to retrace maybe back to this level or otherwise at 160, and I don't want to be in it anymore. Just like with the dollar yen. If it does break above, I guess need really maybe a break above this level here for that confirmation. 50-minute world. Lots of spikes up and down here. In fact, in this spiky environment, one could see this back as probably back to support, in fact. Maybe move back up here, see resistance, move back down here. Something like that could happen. Who knows, especially with the news event. But the news event could really have a spike in both ways, in fact. But looking at this chart, that would make sense. So maybe ups and downs, a lot of range here. How does that fit within the 1 hour if this is doing like that? Probably making a triangle eventually. We need to wait for a break either way, I guess. Bounce off 160 would be good, something like that, I guess. I don't know. Difficult to say. It's at a spot that almost would rather wait and see than trade. That's about it. Let me know what you think. Rich has also shared some screenshots, so if you see something different or something that you want to share additional to what I just mentioned, let me know. I guess in the meantime, otherwise, we'll probably be wrapping up slowly but surely. So if there are any questions out there you might have on trend lines, moving averages, fibs, impulse correction, chart patterns, wave counts, oscillators, divergence, candlesticks, fractals, you name it. Do it now, I guess, if you want. Otherwise, I'll be looking forward to see you tomorrow. Same time, 7:45 a.m. GMT, Thursday. Tarek is asking how we can tell if a certain support or resistance level is strong or weak. I think, well, first of all, the time frame. A 15-minute top or bottom is definitely not going to have the same influence as the daily. That's for sure. Any daily top or bottom will have more strength if there's a fractal, but any daily high will be important as well if you're trading intraday. So it all depends also on the relationship. If you're trading intraday, a daily high is important. If you're swing trading, maybe a daily high is not as important, although you might not want to go long right in front of a daily high, but maybe daily fractals then become more important. A fractal only appears when you have two candles to the left and two candles to the right. So by not breaking that high for 2 days, there's a significant time period that the currency didn't push through to make a new high. Therefore, that level becomes more important. Of course, if you have multiple touches at that level, then the level becomes more important as well. If you have a daily chart here, for example, this level was important, but it became even more important when this one didn't break it, and this one didn't break it, and this one didn't break it. Then that triangle becomes very important. It becomes more of a chart pattern, in fact, as well. So then it becomes stronger and reinforces that as well. And if you look at the daily, in fact, we do have a fractal here. Then again, we had a very bullish day yesterday as well, which is showing some potential price action signal of upside momentum. So I guess those are the main things. Time frame, obviously if you trade a 1 hour chart, you definitely want to look at daily and 4 hour. Well, probably, you know, not weekly. If you're really scalping or intraday trading, I'm not sure if it makes even sense to look at the weekly. I mean, the chances you'll bump into a weekly is pretty small, but other than that, basically whatever time frame you enter, the one higher time frame could be your trend, and the one higher time frame of that could be the filter. So if you're entering on the 15M, the 60M could be your trend, or the 2 hour, and the 4 hour could be your filter. So any 4 hour support or resistance is definitely something you want to be aware of if you're trading the 15, probably the day 2. But the 1 hour support or resistance might be less important for you. If you're trading the 5-minute M, even the 1 hour resistance could be important for you. If you're trading the 1 hour, if you're entering on the 1 hour, then the 1 hour support or resistance is less important. And you're probably looking more at 240 or day chart as well here. Or if you're trading the 4 hour charts, the 60-minute support and resistance is not going to be important because you're entering on a higher time frame. But the daily and weekly are going to be important. So I hope that helps a bit. Euro yen. We pushed through the 135, which was an important, pretty bullish day candle. And if you take a look at the euro yen, then the pound yen maybe also becomes a bit more bullish if you look at it, because we did push with the daily close above this double top and this high, breaking that level. Now we're tracing this could be a hook back for more upside in that regard. So very, very, very steep angle on the 4 hour band, very bullish, price is above it. Could maybe hook back to the support and continue. Actually, this could be already a bouncing spot. This was a pretty sturdy correction, but it could be. So here could be bouncing, here could be bouncing. I mean, the deeper retracement would be easier, more space to the upside. If we bounce here, the confirmation probably could be a break above this level where we have these tops, something like that. We don't have a very defined correction as yet. This is just the beginning. I mean, it's not like this was a very well set correction, right? So a break of that was a very nice trade. We don't have that as yet. But this could definitely still be a pullback of the break, and this could be continue. Right? That's something you can keep an eye on as well. That's possible. Well, I guess that wraps it up for today. Thanks all for being here, first of all, and joining me. And I wish you all great trading. Be careful with indeed that news events on the FOMC, especially, of course, but others as well. And well, looking forward to see you tomorrow. We'll have wave and Fibonacci trading and Fibonacci for beginners with Tarantula in the evening. So looking forward to that. Cheers, everyone.